screw your traditions, screw your protocols. I don't care. And that has been the message of Meghan Markle to the British monarchy ever since she married in.
Developing today, growing fury over Meghan Markle's constant decision to break royal protocol during her time within the British royal family. Decisions which I am told led to fury from Queen Elizabeth II. Brittany, editor of the Royal News Network, who also runs a channel specifically on royal fashion, which is very important for this discussion, joins me now. But Brittany, before we go and look through these 16 examples where Meghan quite clearly breached royal protocol, can we just discuss this at a macro level? Because my understanding is that the late Queen Elizabeth II, I did a lot of reporting on this at the time, just totally despised the way that Meghan didn't believe in tradition at all. So she had a real problem with the fact that Meghan was a divorcee, for example, but then insisted on wearing a veil at the wedding. But it wasn't so much about the veil. It was the fact that Meghan just believed that she could do things her own way, to hell with everyone else.
Yes, and I see as well when it comes to Meghan, especially around like the birth of Archie, the royal family really should have interceded more on how that was handled. They let Harry and Meghan get away with everything. I think they were trying so hard to make Meghan feel comfortable that she just sort of walked all over them. She just had no qualms. She wanted to do things her way or the highway. She didn't care about protocols. She didn't care about, let's say, wearing the right color scheme or not, wearing $100,000 Dior gown in Morocco, which is really against royal protocol. Like so many different ways. Meghan, like not wearing a hat with the queen. Meghan just disregarded any sense of tradition. She did not care. And I'm sorry, but tradition is a huge part of being royalty. And if you're not somebody who likes tradition, like I like tradition, I like history, so I appreciate the royal family and what it does. If that was something that she hated, I don't understand still, except for the money and the fame, why she even married Harry in the first place. Because to be royal is to subscribe to those traditions. And if you can't do it, then don't marry a royal.
Yes, indeed. Okay, let's get to the specifics, Brittany, because I have to be honest, you're far more qualified on this stuff than I am, because obviously you have your royal fashion channel, which covers all of this stuff, and I'm not particularly good on the fashion side of things, as you know. But so the first one, though, I did know all about this. I knew all about this because I actually revealed the story for the first time, Brittany. So it is wearing a veil as a divorcee. According to the Daily Mail, the late Queen allegedly disapproved, well, I know she disapproved of Meghan opting to wear a 16-foot-long veil at her wedding. In contrast, Queen Camilla, who had previously been married to Andrew Parker Bowles, stuck to tradition and didn't wear one to her wedding to Charles in 2005. Well, to me, Brittany, that is undeniable. That is an undeniable snub to the Queen. And you only have to see her face looking at Meghan walking down the aisle. It was a face of disgust, Brittany. It really was.
Yeah, I think at this point too, because of all the drama leading up to the wedding itself, I'm sure Queen Elizabeth was sitting there going, I'm really not sure about this. And just the whole presence of the veil, like being a divorcee and everything, of course, it doesn't make sense. I mean, even Princess Eugenie didn't wear a veil for her wedding, and that was her first wedding. But when it comes to Meghan, like I think arrogance of putting all the flowers of the Commonwealth on the border outline of the veil, because the queen for her coronation wore coronation flowers on her gown, that Meghan did it for her wedding, shows, I think, where Meghan's hubris lies. She like really thought that she was going to be the queen, or she was going to be the queen of the show, or something to that effect. And so Meghan was very much obsessed with that and did not give and care at all about any sort of royal protocols or traditions or anything of the sort. And Camilla, I think Camilla's wedding look was absolutely lovely, and I'm sure Meghan could have looked lovely as well, not in a stark white gown, though. Maybe something a little bit more traditional, given the fact that it was her second wedding.
Yeah, of course, because Camilla didn't even wear white to to her wedding, did she? It was a sort of,
No.
She had the lovely headpiece, and yeah, there it is, and totally traditional, and the late Queen was happy with it. Okay, number 2 was wearing white for a second marriage. As we discussed, but this is how the Daily Mail puts it, Brittany, Givenchy wedding gown. Meghan broke a major royal rule with the shade of her dress being too white, which was deemed inappropriate for divorcee getting married in a church. As per royal tradition, divorced women should avoid wearing white as the colour is reserved for first-time brides only. Okay, let's move on from the wedding, though, Brittany,
Mhm.
because the third time that Meghan broke royal protocol was ripped jeans. Royals only wear casuals and jeans on casual occasions. And for any event, ripped jeans are one step too far. But that didn't stop her from wearing a pair of mother ripped and distressed jeans while making her first public appearance with Prince Harry at the Invictus Games in 2017. So was this a slight, Brittany? Was this a break of tradition, break of
Well,
protocol?
I mean, to be fair to her, she hadn't officially married into the royal family yet. We didn't even know if she was engaged, but definitely was
Good
a
point.
sign of things to come. And, Catherine had some, you could say, sometimes ensembles that were a little bit shorter, a little bit more low cut before she married into the royal family. But Meghan at that point, I think, knew she and Harry were getting engaged. That's why she was there. That's why he did the whole kind of subtle debut of her to the public in many ways as his girlfriend. And so, what I always appreciate about Catherine, and this goes for most royal women as well, is that they put a lot of intention into every outfit. And even the casual ones are very crisp, very put together, and very at the same time, they lack wrinkles. They look very professional, even in the most casual ensembles. And Meghan, of course, is into the realm of way too casual. She could have just gone with a normal pair of jeans that were not distressed. But it was definitely a
Indeed.
sign of things to come.
Okay, number 4, no tights. Exposed legs are a big no-no among the royals. Protocol dictates that anytime you wear a skirt or dress, tights are a must. Queen Elizabeth wore them, Kate Middleton wears them, and Princess Diana wore them. Yet from the first moment Meghan announced her engagement to Prince Harry, she was changing it up, choosing to flash her bare legs. Brittany.
So this one I have mixed feelings on because Catherine definitely early in her marriage always wore pantyhose. She was very, very strict about it. But sort of by the time Meghan entered in, I think Catherine was not wearing pantyhose quite as much. And so there was definitely a point where I think it was like maybe at least her first engagement post marriage at the Buckingham Palace Garden Party, and maybe one or two other times Meghan did actually wear tights, but just like Meghan didn't care, but it was something that I think is slowly fading out already, and we don't really see royal women do that anymore, except for like if it's like black tights for like winter or something like that, or it's part of the outfit. But it's pretty rare. We don't really see Catherine do that anymore either.
Okay, number 5, sheer gown. And the report
Hmm.
says even their engagement photos were a deviation from royal fashion protocol. Meghan chose a Ralph and Rousseau sheer gown with sheer detailing across the bust for the occasion. And while the gown was still respectfully demure, the transparent material was certainly a break from tradition, Brittany.
This was definitely a huge no-no. And I know there was a huge question of who also paid for the gown, because that was the other half of the gown story. It's not only, well, what was actually visible through the gown because it was see-through, like what was Meghan wearing underneath? And these are not questions really as a royal that people should be asking, because if you're a Hollywood actress, you can wear whatever you want. It's fine. But when you're a royal, there are certain expectations. But the second half of that piece was the price of the gown, because royal women, and this goes across the board, generally need to choose items that are of, let's say, a modest price point. You can't go too far. That dress was $75,000 or 75,000 pounds. I can't remember which one it was. And the Buckingham Palace had to address who bought the gown, because royals can't accept freebies and they really don't do loans. So it's like, who bought that gown? And so Buckingham Palace even had to address it. I think they said it was like a private purchase or something like that. Those are automatic questions of both taste with a see-through gown, which we don't know exactly what was covered, and the price that really raised a lot of eyebrows, especially in those initial days, going, oh, this is definitely a bit different, because Catherine's looks were very at a very good price point for her engagement pictures.
Mm. Number 6, holding hands. There's not an official rule about PDA, but royals usually keep it to a minimum because they're working representatives of the monarchy. However, Meghan and Harry stood in stark contrast to the typically restrained behaviour expected of royal couples, always holding hands when attending engagements together. Did you have a problem with this one, Brittany?
Oh, I had a huge problem with this one. It was like one of the first things I noticed is that like they could not stop touching each other. And it's just a thing of when a royal is working, yes, you're working with your spouse, which is a very unique situation, but you're also working. Catherine and William, they are professional. They are working as professionals. And so they don't hold hands. They aren't touchy-feely. They aren't really kissy. Yeah, do they touch each other now and again? Yes, they do, but it's also very appropriate for the situation. Whereas Harry and Meghan were like, they could not stop holding hands. Like, if you watch them actually walk down the aisle of St. Paul's for the Queen's service of Thanksgiving, they're holding hands. They have to walk around a grate. And like middle schoolers, because I remember people doing this in middle school, they had to drop their hands, but they were still kind of out. And so they dropped them and then immediately grasped again. And it was just super weird, super bizarre, way over the top. And the unfortunate thing, too, or you could say one of the reasons people don't overly do the PDA is once you stop being a touchy-feely, people automatically wonder, hey, what's going on? That's why you don't do
I
it.
know, and now they have to fake it all the time.
Now they do, exactly.
Number 7, cross-body bags. Now, this isn't a strict rule, according to the Mail, Brittany, but Kate Middleton always uses a clutch bag since you aren't allowed to offer a handshake to a royal without them offering first. A cross-body bag leaves Meghan's hands free to accept handshakes, which breaks with tradition in a big way. And she chose a Burberry coat and Strathbury bag, which left her hands free when visiting Scotland, Brittany. But first, we've been told our whole lives that wrinkle creams were the easiest way to look younger. Now, one doctor says that's nothing but old news. According to Dr. John Lake, the world-renowned Beverly Hills beauty expert, most wrinkle fixes on the market are actually nothing but glorified moisturizers. They hardly make a dent on your appearance. Some can even be harmful to your skin, he said. Now, recently, Dr. Lake has focused his attention away from mainstream cosmetic practices. Why? So that he can pursue a revolutionary anti-aging breakthrough, one that some experts say could empty the wallets of the cosmetic industry. He says it's almost like Photoshop for your face, and you may even be mad after seeing how easy it is to visibly erase your wrinkles from view. His personal clients have dubbed his new do-it-yourself technique the Age Rewinder method because it can take years or even decades off your appearance in under 2 minutes. So in light of this amazing breakthrough, Dr. Lake has released a step-by-step video to the public. It is free and uninterrupted, where he outlines exactly how to use this simple solution from home. And he says if this helps even one person look younger or feel more confident, he will be thrilled knowing he helped. The video's gone viral. It started on Facebook. There's been well over 2 million views now. And I mean, women all around the world, thousands of women actually, are reporting they look decades younger. One commented, best results of anything I've used. I can't believe how well this works. I'll never stop using this. I don't understand how it works, but the results are great. Thank you. So you can find out more about this yourself right now at bhmd1.com/outspoken, or just click on the link in the description box below. That's probably easy, but let me repeat the address: bhmd1.com/outspoken. Dr. Lake does ask one thing from his viewers. If watching the video helps you look and feel younger than you have in years, then please share it with your friends and loved ones, because together we have the power to help as many women reclaim a youthful look as possible. So go watch the video right now at bhmd1.com/outspoken, or just click on the link in the description box below. But now, back to the show.
It's definitely not something I'm a fan of. And I'm not a fan of actually shoulder bags in general for royal women. I think clutches or top handles are the best because the other ones you kind of have to move, the handle can flop down and those sorts of things. But I thought it made Meghan's outfits look overly casual. And as a royal, you're supposed to stand, let's say, above. So yeah, Meghan walking around, going shopping or hanging out with her friends, outfit's totally appropriate, you could say. But on a royal engagement, you're supposed to have just a level of decorum and class, and Meghan just could not meet that in the slightest. There's actually even one where it was during their tour of South Africa, and she looked like she was going to the farmer's market because she had this like huge crossbody bag across her, and it was like to an official event. And it goes to again that idea of even in the most casual events, Catherine looks incredibly put together, and so do most royal women. They put a lot of intention into their outfits, and Meghan just looked a disaster every time.
Okay, the next two, Brittany, are both direct
Mm.
fashion related. So let me take you through them. First, the off-the-shoulder dress. At Trooping the Colour in 2018, which was Meghan's second official appearance after her royal wedding, she tore up the royal rulebook. She completely ignored royal protocol and wore an off-the-shoulder dress on the famed Buckingham Palace balcony at the official ceremony to mark the Queen's 92nd birthday. And it lacked modesty, considering it was a daytime
Mhm.
event. Then she went hatless. Now, Queen Elizabeth was a firm believer that ladies should keep their heads covered during official engagement. She would even wear a scarf when she wasn't in a hat, so it was particularly bold when Meghan went hatless to the opening of the Mersey Gateway Bridge in Runcorn, Cheshire. They arrived on the royal train and she was seated beside the Queen, who was, of course, wearing a hat. And I think the worst thing, Brittany, is that the late Queen had made it clear that she wanted Meghan in a hat.
Exactly. The queen had told Meghan what was sort of expected for this engagement, and Meghan just disregarded it. She didn't really care. And Meghan actually tended to look a mess. It happened to be windy in the city that day, and her hair was just sort of all over the place. But Meghan disregarded royal dressing protocol in a lot of ways. Obviously, she favored black quite a bit. But, this exposed shoulders, you'll notice no other royal woman did that on the balcony ever at Buckingham Palace. There are just expectations. And if you can't meet them, if you think, and I think in Meghan's mind, she thought she was better than the Brits, knew more than them. But the royals actually set themselves apart from celebrities by dressing a certain way, by acting a certain way. And that is in part what makes them different than basically any other Hollywood starlet. And so to drop that sort of again degrades the look of being royalty. And so I think that was just again a huge mistake and error on Meghan's part.
Well, indeed. And that was number 10, as you pointed out, Brittany, dressing in
Mm.
black, which the late Queen preferred for members of the royal family not to unless they were mourning or at evening events. There was an interesting
Yes.
one at number 11, though, Brittany.
Mm.
Trousers at Wimbledon. Because during the Wimbledon women's final, Meghan donned a pair of white trousers and a striped shirt from Ralph Lauren. For official appearances, skirts and dresses are the usual dress code, which is what Kate Middleton opted to wear while attending the event alongside Meghan. Meghan also wore a Panama-style hat to the event, which she carried as hats are discouraged in the royal box because they could block the view of people sitting behind them. What did you think of this Wimbledon
Oh,
trousers
the
debacle?
Wimbledon trousers were pretty bad, mostly because they were like 2 inches too long. And so they didn't totally fit her. And she sort of looked like a waiter, like the entire ensemble. You could see a waiter doing that in sort of a high end, maybe a like a Hampton style eatery or something like that. So the whole outfit was wildly inappropriate. Again, Meghan looked messy, which she tended to do. I mean, she still does look it now and definitely did as a royal, looked very, very messy and unkempt. And that she brought the hat, even though I'm sure she was told, hey, you can't wear hats. She still brought it anyways, sort of looked like a fool for doing so. And she just didn't seem to care at all about the expectations. And again, that's just a huge slap in the face, I think, to the Queen, the British people, and the institution she was supposed to represent, that she just did not seem to care.
Um, a couple which are to me, Brittany, so clearly wrong and so clearly
Mm.
Meghan are the next two. I think these actually should have been higher up the list. 12, super short hemline,
Mm.
bare-legged in a black Judith and Charles mini dress. Meghan attended a gala celebrating a charity performance of Hamilton in London in 2018. Royal women are generally expected to wear skirts or dresses that are around knee length and never more than 3 or 4 inches above the knee to keep hemlines conservative and appropriate for the occasion, a rule flaunted by Meghan. And going barefoot. During a visit to a local surfing community group on Bondi Beach, Meghan broke protocol regarding keeping your shoes on. Members of the family from Kate Middleton, who kept her shoes on at Manly in 2014, to
Mhm.
Princess Diana, who did the same at New South Wales Beach in Terrigal in 1983, have always adhered to the royal rule, but not Meghan. who ditched her designer wedges, Brittany.
And you actually see it in that picture why it's probably not a good idea for you to, let's say, remove your shoes because she's hunched over trying to get them off, and it sort of looks undignified. It's sort of just again sort of messy, and just she's trying to adjust things and everything, and really it just for simplicity's sake figure out how to walk in the beach in those, get something maybe that's of course shorter, but of course I think she was very worried about Harry being so much taller than she is, so she constantly has to wear these huge heels. And the hemline thing goes for pretty much all royal women. Most of them try to keep the hemlines pretty modest, and Meghan just again just did not seem to care. Wanted to wear what she wanted to wear. You know, you go with the black. And also, I don't know if they have it on this list or not, but Meghan also tended to wear designers that were not British. And as a royal, you were generally supposed to wear designers from your country in addition to sometimes the country that you are visiting. And so this is a general rule for all royals. They try to buy within their country to support the local economy, whereas Meghan wanted to buy stuff from Dior, Givenchy, and all those things caused problems. And they were also very pricey oftentimes too. So Meghan really liked to stretch her royal budget for sure. But she tended to always look like a disaster no matter how much she tried or how much money she threw at a situation.
And then the final ways that Meghan Markle flaunted royal protocol. Well, one, Brittany has already covered off, wearing Dior to the royal christening. But then we have two makeup issues. At 14, dark nail polish. It's an unspoken rule that royal women should either wear no nail polish or neutral colours, with the late Queen always wearing the same light ballet slippers shade or no polish at all. Yet Meghan broke precedents by wearing a dark burgundy polish with her Givenchy gown to the British Fashion Awards in December 2018. And the final way that Meghan broke royal protocol, blue eyeshadow. Meghan often flouted beauty guidelines during her time as royal, and her final royal engagement seemed like the subtlest way to continue breaking the tradition. She dressed in a bold Amelia Wickstead with daring blue eyeshadow. Royal women should avoid bold makeup in public, yet the look created by her personal makeup artist Daniel Martin certainly made a statement. Oh, well, if Daniel Martin's involved, I hate it. Because I just can't stand that guy.
Man. Her crying makeup artist. Oh, poor soul. So yeah, most of those things, I don't really, the blue eyeshadow in particular, I haven't heard much of. But yes, as a royal, you're supposed to generally keep the makeup to a minimum. You don't really go with something, let's say, super bold, like a red lip. That's sort of rare. Some royal women do it, some don't. But you're generally supposed to keep everything a bit understated. You know, you can let's say, the people in Hollywood go for the kind of wild looks, whereas you're supposed to keep it within a spectrum of neutrality. And Catherine definitely did, and it was a huge deal at the time. So this was in, I believe, 2023 at Easter. She did have red nails. And so this was after a break with their kids. Her nails were red. But of course, when she went back to, as a working royal, her fingernails had been gone back to more the neutral shade. This was something every royal woman, or at least the British royals, definitely followed very particularly. I think things are, again, getting adjusted after the death of Queen Elizabeth, and expectations are changing. So I'm okay with that. I think that's good. But when Meghan did it, it was like a huge faux pas. And again, very much a slap in the face to Queen Elizabeth. She really just did everything she could to tell the monarchy, hey, I don't care what you think. I'm going to wear Dior to Archie's christening, even though I'm supposed to wear a British designer, even though I'm supposed to represent Britain. I want to wear Dior. So I'm going to wear Dior no matter what. And again, screw your traditions, screw your protocols. I don't care. And that has been the message of Meghan Markle to the British monarchy ever since she married in.
Brittany from the Royal News Network, thank you so much. Brilliant to look through all of those terrible royal faux pas. Yes. And of course, if you want much more royal fashion, then do sign up to the Royal News Network, which has a special royal fashion channel which you can subscribe to on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source, and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews,
and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.